Hey YouTube, it's me. So today's video is going to be about advice I would give to, I guess, people in their 20s, early 20s, or people who are going to enter their 20s, right? And I know I said I would never write a script for any of my videos, and that's true. But I will say I do have a bullet point of the pieces of advice I am going to state. So that way I don't, forget one and then, uh-oh, I think this guy might have left out something important. But I have everything right here. It's just bullet points. And obviously I'm gonna say everything that's on my mind. I don't have anything written here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 bullet points, right? Um, So yeah, first piece of advice I would give is silence is your friend. And what I mean by that is that, well, there's two things regarding that I want to get into. But the first thing I want to talk about is don't always tell people what you plan on doing or what you're doing, what you're feeling, or whatever, right? What you always want to do is think about it, imagine it, and take the first steps towards doing whatever you want to do. Because, as I mentioned to you before, those are the steps you have to take if you want to manifest what you want into your reality, right? That's exactly what you have to do. And by telling a bunch of people, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, it takes the manifestation out of what you want to do. It's not like it'll be like I'm saying a bunch of all of this stuff, but I'm not really taking the steps towards doing it, right? I would say the only exception to that rule is if it's not too important, whatever you're trying to do, or whatever you want to do has an alternative route to it, right? So I would say those are probably the only two exceptions to that rule, or silence is your friend, isn't your friend, the exception, right? Um, so yeah, not everyone needs to know, especially there's always going to be a lot of envious people in your life. Well, why do you want to give them the energy to why do you want to give your energy towards telling them whatever you want to do? It's better that you conserve your energy towards that goal. The more you leak your energy towards others, the more energy that you had for your manifestation goes away. So the more you conserve your energy, the better. The less people you tell, the better. That means more energy you'll have to conserve to manifest, right? So that's why it's important not to tell people. But if you are, at least let it be like someone you really, 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 really trust. They keep their mouth shut, right? Maybe a pet. I don't know. Um, part two to that advice. Remember, silence is your friend, and by that I mean stay quiet in your environment, stay quiet at the workplace, stay quiet at social settings, stay quiet at whatever event you are, because you'll learn more from being quiet and observing than just talking and talking and being engaged in the conversation, being engaged in the environment or the event. By being silent, you'll start to notice, you'll start seeing things about people that you probably wouldn't have noticed if, you were running your mouth all day, right? Um, it's kind of like, how do I put it? It's kind of like how assassins operate in the dark. The reason why they're so successful at assassination is because obviously they operate in the dark. They operate in secrecy. They don't let people know what they're gonna do. They just observe their enemy and they don't let their enemies observe them. So it's kind of that same logic, right? Stay quiet, observe people, their behaviors, and really break down. Am I better off alone? Should I go work somewhere else or whatever, right? Because what you'll find out later in your 20s is that 95 to 99% of the people that you know are not really worth your time. Especially coworkers, um, and the such, right? Better it's better to stay quiet at the workplace. Just talk what you need to talk, and that's it. Um, and I would say in friend groups as well, social events, social gatherings, family reunions, right? Whatever. Um, yeah, I would say, yeah, silence is your friend. And it's actually a part three to it. Silence is your friend because the moment you start to be quiet right here in your mind too, you start reflecting not only towards your behavior, towards yourself, towards your goals, and you start reflecting about, hey, maybe I want to add on to my goal, or maybe I want to do this or do that instead. Maybe I've grown, right? And you want to reflect on the people you surround yourself with too, right? So that's very important. And number two, believe in yourself. I've said it so many times, but I'm gonna sound like a broken record, which is good, right? Believe in yourself. Remember, part of thinking, part of imagining, part of taking the first steps and then manifesting what you want has to do with self-belief. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then forget it. You have to believe in yourself in order for whatever you want in your life to manifest. Self-belief is very important. Self-belief in your life will take you very far in life. It'll take you wherever you want to be in life, right? And, it'll be a slow process, obviously, but self-belief will take you very, very, very far. Um, it's kind of like this. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? But something that they'll tell you is that obviously you have to walk towards the light at the end of the tunnel in order to get whatever you want, right? The scared people just sit there and wait for someone to help them. The person who believes in themselves says, you know what, let's go walk towards the end of the tunnel that has light, right? If I get lost, let's recalculate, let's reroute and see where I could go, where I was before in order to go towards the end of the tunnel where the light is, right? People who believe in themselves just take the risk. That's part of risk taking too, self belief. So it's very important to believe in yourself. It's good that people believe in you, but none of that is worth anything unless you believe in yourself. The power of self belief is very powerful, very powerful. Um, I would even say believe in yourself before you believe in God. I would say go find yourself before you find God. Enough said. Spend time with your loved ones and doing what you love. Yeah. So in a world where, the political theater is on a global stage, World War III is shouted everywhere. The economic collapse is happening in real time. No one just wants to admit it, right? Um, America's a melting pot. Um, I would say in a good way 20 years ago, but now it's just in a horrible way. It's a horrible way. And plus something that at least Gen Z has learned is working your life away for 40 years at the same job for 40 years. It's not even worth it. Goes to show how these companies value your loyalty. You're replaceable to them. And I feel like that's something boomers or people before us should have learned. They don't prioritize us. So we got to prioritize ourselves and our family. And getting on to the main topic, spend time with your loved ones because you never know what's going to happen. You'll never know whose time is up, knock on wood. You never know what's going to happen, and this you'll never know when your last goodbye will be, your last I love you will be. So it's like I said, there's no tomorrow. You have to live with that mentality. There's no tomorrow. You gotta say what you gotta say to your family. I love you. Hi, bye, and let them know that you mean it. Don't just half-ass it. Just gotta let them know every day, or I guess any opportunity you get to see them. And that's referring to relatives, right? Extended family, right? Spend time with them. You're not a slave to society. You're not a slave to a corporation. You are you. You choose to live the life you want with who. And the sooner you learn that spending time with your family is more rewarding, is more fulfilling, it's more meaningful than working like a slave for 40 years, the sooner you're gonna start seeing life a different way and happier way. Even if you earn less, like me, I quit my weekend job because everything just started to add up. I got laughed at when I asked for a raise. I said, "Okay, you know what? Screw you then. I'm quitting." And quitting made me realize, hey, you know, after everything that's happened, I really learned this lesson well now. I mastered this lesson probably. And also do what you love. It doesn't matter what it is. Well, I mean, obviously, if it's moral, right? You don't want to do horrible things, right? Just do what you love as long as it only affects you. And if it affects other people, at least hopefully it's a positive effect, you know? Do what you love, and by that I mean don't not work related, right? You could love what you work, but what I'm saying, do what you love. I mean, go take that hike, go take that walk to the beach, go do some archery, go have some fun with your friends, family, go watch that movie, right? Or go ask out that person, right? Doing what you love. That's another part that a lot of people seem to forget. We confuse addiction, we confuse pleasure with love. And people drink, people smoke, people lust, people try to fit in for pleasure that's very temporary, and it means nothing at the end of the day. Do what you love, even if you get laughed at, judged for, because at the end of the day, it'll carry weight and meaning for you. It doesn't have to have any weight or meaning to anyone else. Just like if you love that pet, oh yeah, the stranger hates your dog because, oh, it barked at me. What does that even matter? Your love has more weight and meaning for your pet than whatever hate that stranger has, right? So do what you love out of love. It'll bring the life back into your eyes. It'll bring the color back into your life, and that's very important, especially now, because a lot of people they're missing that color in their life. They're missing that love. in their life. They're missing that light in their life. And I feel like because of work, because of everything that's going on, because people enslave themselves to work, to money, they forget that they're people, that they're only here for God knows how short of a time. That we forget we could do things that we love, and we should, and we shouldn't be ashamed of that. No matter what society says or tries to judge you for it, just do what you love. And my fourth piece of advice is take your own advice, right? Let's say you have that business plan, do it. If you want to go to trade, do it. If you want to make this an investment, do it. If you want to do something that you think will be good for your health, do it, right? If you think it'll benefit you, and as long as you have the knowledge to say, hey, maybe, yeah, it'll work, then go for it, right? Take your own advice. Be positive. Manifest whatever is in your mind into reality. Don't let people put you in that bubble, in that box, because, unfortunately, whether people intentionally or unintentionally do it, a lot of the times people give in, and then years later they're like, man, why did I listen to that people? Why didn't I pursue my dream? Why didn't I pursue this? I could have been this amount of rich. I could have been doing this. I could have been that. And just take your own advice. Um, you know, I know my a lot of people in my life, they care about me and my future, but they told me to go to college, and I told them straight out of high school, college isn't for me. I know what's gonna happen to this country, and I was right. A college degree is worthless now. And now they're like, well, yeah, you were right. Like, I know I was right, but I chose to take your advice. Um, and I took my own advice. I said, I'm gonna start buying this amount of silver because I know I have that feeling. I've done my research. I know it's gonna go all the way up, and I was right. The highest it was at 121 before it crashed now to like $76, right? But before that it was at $20. Imagine how high of a difference that was. And I followed my own advice. I made a lot of profit right there, right? Um yeah, sometimes people intentionally they tell you not to take your own advice. You should follow my advice. And sometimes that reason is something malicious. They don't want to see you win. They would rather put you down like they are. People who put you down have nothing to offer. People who are attractive, they'll offer you compliments. People who are successful, they'll offer you advice. But people who have nothing to offer, they'll bring you down with them. Like the Titanic bringing the other half of it when it snapped into two. Horrible advice, but you get the point. Um, yeah, and then guess what? They'll take your idea and say, "Hey, this was my idea, right?" And then for those who unintentionally have nothing malicious, but they think they know what's best for you, you're like, "Oh, you know what? You were right. I'm sorry." Was like, it's too late. Um, just take your own advice. Best case scenario is, hey, I was right, I win, right? Worst case scenario is, okay, I lost. But there is a victory in the loss. What did I learn? What could I do better next time? Do I have to do more research? Am I doing the wrong demographic? Am I in the wrong area for this, whatever I want to do, right? There's always rerouting and failure, but kind of think of it as a Google map. If you don't take the right turn, it doesn't call you a failure. Like, oh man, you're wrong. You're not following my route. It recalculates. You just got to recalculate. Um, my fifth piece of advice. I think this might be a fairly short segment, or yeah. Question everything. Uh, Especially after the pandemic, after the VA double X. Um, question everything. Question the official narrative. Question the media. Question the science. Question the religion. If there's anything I would agree with a damn commie out of all people, there's this guy. His name was Bakunin. He wrote this book called God and State, and he stated that we must not have government because it's a form of authority that suppresses people's individual freedoms and their higher self, right? And I agree with that, right, to an extent. And then he says the same thing about science. He says science is a good for humanity, right? But the moment we give it authority, the moment we start questioning the science, it becomes an authority, right? And the moment you question it, it becomes another form of government. And he said the moment it becomes a form of government, it gives it the authority, the excuse, I can lie to you, and if you question me, then bye bye. And COVID was exactly that. If you didn't take the vaccine, if you didn't comply to whatever it was, you were a social outcast. You were out of work. You weren't allowed in certain places. And with everything that's coming out, people who didn't take the vaccine, they turned out to be right, right? Um, and even if we're not talking about the pandemic, look at the Epstein files, look at 9/11, the dancing Israelis, look at the what's coming out about World War I in connection to World War II and the rise of Adolf Hitler and the resemblance between the Weimar Republic and the US and why the Nazis formed the way they did and why the world was against them to begin with. Always have to question the official narrative. You always have to question everything and the connection between the Titanic and the establishment of the Federal Reserve. Always have to question everything. Question why did they assassinate John F. Kennedy? Couldn't have anything to do with the Federal Reserve. Couldn't have been anything about APAC, um, returning our money back to gold and silver. Ah, of course not. Um, Follow your own path and journey. And that might relate a little bit, that might overlap with take your own advice, right? So by following your own path, following your own journey, what you need to know and see there is I want to do what I want, right? And if it goes against what society plans for me, if it goes against the norm, if it goes against what people says, if I become a social outcast, then I should do it anyways, right? Do what you love, don't conform. What has the reality of society, of the elites, what good has it ever done for you? Nothing. That's why you have to construct your own reality through carving your own path and see where that leads you. Creating your own reality will do you more good than staying in the reality contrived by society and the elites. And remember, let's say you want to pursue a goal. Maybe you want to be a nurse or paramedic, or maybe you want to become a scientist or an athlete, right? Don't compare yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy. And not only that, another example I could give is worrying about tomorrow takes away today's peace. Similar notion, right? About about thinking something that you can't control, you take away what's your worth by yourself. No one does that but you. And what you have to remember is that in this journey of life, we're all going on our own pace. Just because I see the other guy on his path, he's going a little farther than me, it doesn't mean I'm behind. It means I'm exactly where I need to be, and he's exactly where he needs to be. I can't compare his path to mine. We're in two completely different paths. His path might end shorter, longer, mine could end shorter or longer, right? And another thing I want to mention is that when it comes to path and journey, 99% of the people focus on the destination. That's why many people they don't end up going where they want to be. They focus on the destination. What if I become famous? What if I become a millionaire? This and that, blah 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 blah. But if they don't love the journey, then they're not gonna make it. The people who enjoy the journey, the people who enjoy the walk, will make it farther than the people who enjoys the destination. A good comparison I can make is hiking, right? This is a horrible example, right? Um, let's say me, right? I go hike because I want to hear the birds chirp. I want to see nature. I want to see the greenery in the environment, right? I love it. That's why I like walking, right? It'll take me farther because I enjoy the journey. I like it enjoying seeing all of that, right? I don't care where the destination takes me. Compared to the other guy who rushes all the way to the top just to see, I guess, everything below him. Horrible example, I know, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? Follow your own path. Don't follow the masses. Think for yourself. Think for yourself. The moment you follow the masses is the moment you lose. The moment you give in to that pressure, the moment you give in to their way of thinking, to society's way of thinking, that's the moment you lose. You got to do what's right for you. Even if some of that pathway has to do with going into the crowd, then do it, but at least do it knowing that you chose it. No one else chose it for you. No one manipulated you. No one put those thoughts in your brain. You did. At least do it knowing that it was you. Okay? Um, the other piece of advice, stop thinking so much and start doing. A lot more inaction, a lot more harm is done by thinking. A lot, a lot of the bad that happens to our life happens because we think too much. We don't take enough action. We don't take enough affirmative. That's probably not the word, but yeah, we don't take enough action. More harm is done by inaction caused by thinking than action. I think a Stoic philosopher said that actually more harm is done by inaction than action. The more you think about something, the less you get it done. And the more you think about it, the more impossibilities, the more excuses you make up in your head as to why, or maybe, or I should doubt. The less you think about it, and the more you start doing, the more the path starts to clear up, the less confusing it becomes. If, as an example, let's say you want to Become a pilot. Okay, good. Go. Don't think about it. Just go to flight school. Sign yourself up for flight school. Don't think about it. Just do it. Or another example could be, oh man, I want to be a kickboxer. I want to be a fencer. I want to be an archer. I want to be an athlete. Okay, just do it. Get yourself fit. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. If you think, the more you think about it, the more you start doubting yourself, and the more negative thoughts you'll have, which is bad. And if you are gonna think positively. The energy you put in doubting yourself, thinking negatively, you could easily put that energy towards thinking more positively, thinking about the best outcome, the best case scenario. So think less and do more. And if you are gonna think, at least think when you're given the opportunity. Think in between breaks or at the end of the day. Think to yourself, I am the best, I'm the greatest, I'm the smartest, I'm the most intelligent. I got this, I'm successful. I expect the most out of myself. I and expect happiness. You gotta start thinking positively like that. You gotta start thinking like that. Think positively. It'll take you far in life. Um, and my last piece of advice, it kind of connects to the other ones. It's okay to feel lost. That could be mentally, um, societal, societally, right? It's okay to feel lost. A lot of people don't like to admit it, but they're lost. They don't want to admit it, but they're definitely lost. Um, and if they say that they're not lost and that they haven't figured it out, well then, good for them. I hope everything works out. Will they get farther in life? I certainly would hope so. But I believe that the same character development won't grow compared to someone who's lost. That's afraid. It's not afraid. I mean, someone who's able to admit it and say, yes, I'm lost. Sometimes, in order to be found, you have to get a little lost. Yeah, you have to be lost and found, right? It's like the lost and found bin from K to 12, right? You have to be lost and found. Um, After high school, you're not supposed to have it figure it out. You're not. And if you say you do, then you have a long way to go. You're still developing. People change your opinions, people change because of experiences. So you're not supposed to get it figured out. What you're supposed to do is get it a little less wrong, get it a little less confused. But that's really about it. You could be lost. You could be lost. You could be 40 and still be lost. I know a few people like that. They're in their 30s, 40s. They're lost. They're lost. They don't like they don't like where they are in life. And the reason why they're still lost is because they stopped trying. You could be lost and still trying to find the light. It's like I told you, the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel, right? It's okay to be lost, but you have to walk in order to eventually find out where you're meant to be, where you're supposed to go. But if you stay where you are, of course you're gonna be lost. You're gonna be more lost, and you're gonna be the same place forever. You're gonna be lost, and you're gonna stay there. It's okay to be lost, but as long as you keep moving, as long as you keep trying to do something to figure it out, as long as you try to build something, that's what matters the most. But if you're lost and you're just stuck there, then that's where you're gonna be for the rest of your life. And that's why a lot of people end up being lost in their 30s, 40s, because they just gave up on life. They just gave up. They're just lost. That's it. They gave up on themselves. But you still have a long way to go. It's okay to be lost. It's okay to be lost. Someone needs to tell you that. It's okay to be lost. But it's not okay staying around and doing nothing. You have to get up and do something. You have to build yourself up. If something doesn't work out, at least you know it isn't meant for you. And if something works out, okay, this worked out. Maybe we could do something else. Maybe I could add on. I could develop whatever I just found out, right? And if you think you should stick to that, then you should go stick to that. But you have to make sure you know your worth. You have to make sure you know your worth. Don't let other people determine that worth for you. Um, don't let other people determine that worth for you. Because the moment you let people determine your worth, that's when you truly lose, especially when you're lost. The moment you start giving yourself that worth, that's the moment you give yourself that fighting chance. And it's very important to give yourself that recognition, that worth. It's very important. Um, another thing to add on to that same piece of advice, about getting lost, in terms of the, I guess, aside from the material or like the material stuff I was just talking about, were like, oh, where do I want to be? What doesn't work? What does work? Another thing that includes in that is inside, inner, spiritual being, your mental being. If you feel lost mentally and then spiritually, I would say that's okay too. You're not supposed to get it right away. Part of the journey, part of the growth is being lost. Those who are the strongest have often been the most lost. Um, there's strength in being lost mentally. There's a lot of strength. It builds resilience. It builds mental toughness. It builds confidence. It builds a lot of things that you wouldn't expect it does. The moment you have an idea of who you are, or I guess you have an idea that you found yourself, that's a moment where being lost, it doesn't become a flaw, it becomes a gift. It becomes more of an ally. You say, I'm lost, but I'm a little less lost. But that's okay because it gives you more opportunities. You start seeing life in that way when you're lost. Um, I'm sorry, I know I'm probably not making any sense. Um, it's just one of those things where you know it, but explaining it is it's just a lot. It's just a lot just to explain it. Um, those who are lost are very strong. They're very strong. Um, I thought I knew what else I could say, but I guess not. But I guess that's the video really. I hope you enjoyed. I know it's like about 40 minutes. Um, but My next video will have to do with psychology. So psychology and another topic. I just can't quite remember what it is, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed.